Afternoon, emptiness this freed family. We meet again this Saturday, and today one of our members, Kerrie Murphy, is taking the lead and taking us through her journey of experiences with menopause. Now, a lot of people might think only women need to listen to this, only women need to know about this, only women need to talk about this. And in some parts of the world, it's actually taboo talking about menopause. But I think it's important to talk about it. Anything that affects human lives is important to talk about, because I think a lot of times we suffer in silence and out of ignorance, because there's so many things that people make taboo, because also there's a lot of stigma that gets attached to a whole lot of things. But I tend to think we're in that era where we should be eradicating things like judgment, things like um, stigma, exclusion, and that kind of thing. So this is why today we're coming here to talk about menopause. Um, Kerrie is going through it, and there's highs and lows, I would imagine, but she's going to tell us all about it. And if you have any questions after this whole session, if you're gonna watch the video on YouTube or on Facebook and you have any questions, feel free to air those questions and we will try and respond to them. So, right, I will hand over to Kerrie. Kerrie, can you introduce yourself and then walk us through your journey? Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm Kerrie Murphy-Fisher. I've got my own YouTube channel, Singing My Way to Recovery, which has aided me to kind of sort of talk about all different types of topics. I've been a public speaker for the NHS at one point in my journey, and so I'm used to talking about difficult topics and all that sort of thing. I've joined the Empty Nesters Creed with Farry and lots of other members that have joined as well. But me and Farry made friends through a group that we used to go to together. And Farry set up this group not long ago. Well, how long ago was it, Farry?
Almost a year, can you imagine?
Is it? Yeah. Wow. Yeah, so we've been on the same kind of journey with like our social media sort of thing, and I've gotten friends with Farry, and we talk about lots of different topics and stuff like that. But the main topic today is about menopause, and I wish to share my journey with everyone. Um, so I've picked three topics of the menopause because just to keep it sort of, it's a big, big topic. We could get into this for hours and hours, and I haven't got hours and hours at the moment to talk about it because I'm going out tonight. So I've picked three topics. I'm going to talk about a little bit about relationships, um, a little bit about, let me just turn the light on because I can't see with my writing. So relationships, sleep, and also hormones, and a little bit about the treatment that I'm under as well. So the first topic I want to talk about is relationships and how it's affected me and my partner of 24 years. We've recently split up due to the 10-year battle I've gone through battling early menopause. So a bit sad, but um, you know, I want to kind of raise awareness so there's not so more couples can stay together through menopause. And I want to talk about not just my own journey about menopause, but how it's affected my family and my friends, my partner, because that's what you've got to consider too. You've also got to consider men in this as well, and men need to have the awareness of what's going on in our lives. And what I've learnt through developing my own sort of community and talking to people in Gambia and all sorts of places around the world, men are so blind to how women change during the menopause, and they see us as different because we are different. We change as well. People change in general, but like going through a change of it's such a life changing event, and it's hard. There are highs and there are lows. The highs I've had is the menopause has given me my drive to be able to focus at times, to kind of have the capacity to be able to function on very little sleep. Um, and it's drove me to just progress into what I want to do. I want to open discussions about life in general, but like the hormones that and changes that happen during the menopause and things like that. So my relationship with my family has changed because they've seen me in a different way. I've struggled with mental health really bad to the point where I've been sectioned twice. The first time, what happened was I didn't have sleep for 2 whole weeks. I got diagnosed with diabetes. I had a massive breakdown. I lost a couple of friends and a couple of really important people in my life. And it really threw me off my curve. You know, it affected me in a whole way. 2 whole weeks. Can you imagine, Farry, not sleeping for 2 whole weeks? And when I say not sleeping, I mean not sleeping, not even being able to nap, you know.
Plus, being on the same journey with you, um, and I have these phases on and off where I cannot sleep at all, and you can't figure out why. No matter what you try, you just can't sleep. Talking of which, last night, I think probably after 3 a.m., I went on social media and I was like, I've counted all the sheep in the world because I couldn't sleep. And people say, oh, count sheep. If you can't sleep, count sheep.
Yeah.
You fall asleep. But it didn't matter what I tried. I couldn't sleep. 6 o'clock, I was still wide awake. And now I feel like a zombie. But
Yeah. See, the thing with me, because I'm so used to this 2 weekly cycle where I have 2 good weeks and then 2 bad weeks, it's become a pattern now. So that in those 2 bad weeks, I'm more functional than probably most human beings on as more sleep than me. I can communicate with lots of different people. I'm more sort of productive in my social media, but it catches up on me. And that's why I have 2 bad weeks, 2 good weeks, 2 bad weeks. And it's a cycle that I'm going through. And like I said, it's all to do with my hormones, my diabetes, you know, and also as well, I don't know whether you do this, a lot of people do this. When you can't sleep, you start thinking and you overthink things, you constantly, and you can't shut it off. It's like a cycle of on a fast spin washing machine. Those thoughts go round your head, and it doesn't matter what you do. You have to just let your body crash in the end, and it's not healthy. It really isn't. And that's why it's so important to try and get the right support. Now, it's taken me 10 years to get this, to be under
Oh,
treatment for gynecology. I've been diagnosed with fibroids, endometriosis, um, now polyps, which I've got to get surgically removed, which I'm really apprehensive about it. I've got anxiety about it. I had a womb scan, I've had a biopsy, I've got to wait for the results of that. Now, I don't think there'll be anything seriously wrong, but because I've been having bleeding in between my monthly cycles, the doctors wanted to rule it out and make sure it's nothing, because there's
Mm.
cancer in my family, you see. My nan had cervical cancer. And there's a lot of women in our family that have got very bad cycles. My auntie, for one, her cycles are really bad. Now it affects my mental health when I'm in these cycles.
Yeah.
I have conversations with people and I can't even remember I've had conversations with them because I've been so lacking of sleep that I can't remember what I've said to someone. I've had posts on my social media where I've put up and people have gone, why have you put that on your social media? And I've gone, I don't remember doing it. Or like, it's like you're highly functional and it's scary. I've been scammed as well because I haven't been on my ball game, so there's lots of aspects of them, how the menopause can affect different things, and the reasons why these happen are mainly hormonal changes. Ever since we have a period where we're on a hormonal change, and like, it's just some women can breeze through it, and I don't know what it is their secret is, but they may be blessed with great hormones and all of
There
that.
is no secret to it, Kerrie. There is no secret to it going through menopause, because I've been to the doctor a couple of weeks ago, and he was asking me about menopause because right in the middle of, I think, an operation, when I have this transplant operation, that while I was going through the operation, that same day I was on my periods, and
Yeah,
after that I it came back once. I done it in April, and my period came back in September, and ever since I haven't had any, and that's about 12, 8 years ago.
yeah.
And the doctor was talking to me about menopause, and I said I don't know if I've gone through menopause or what, because I don't know how it feels.
Yeah,
So I can't say if I have gone through it already
would
or
say you can,
yeah,
because they recommend that if you haven't had a period for 12 months or longer and you're going
yeah.
through the early change or changes in your body that you're going
Mm,
on through or are going through menopause, I would say you might still have symptoms of the menopause.
mm.
I don't know whether you still have hot flushes or have they gone now.
I can't. I'm usually hot mainly at nights.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm hot, sometimes I'm cold, but I don't know if it's hot flushes. I don't know what it is. I just feel hot
If it
and
was
then
a hot
feel cold.
wetting,
No, not the sweaty bits.
ah,
Just hot.
yeah. Well,
Mm,
you might have gone through it and breezed through it, and
maybe. Yeah.
know. But the thing is, it's like you don't know until you have a conversation with someone and talking to
Yeah.
me and things like that.
The doctors can do a test for you because my experience was I had early
Yeah,
menopause in my 30s, and I
Okay.
see the doctors with these hot flashes and nausea and all sorts of weird, strange symptoms that I was experiencing. And my doctor kept saying to me, "Oh, you're too young to be menopause, or you're too young." After about 5 years, that's when I went to see the doctor, and he was not well, my doctor. He was not well, and there was another doctor who was there, and he said to me, "I'm looking at your records, and several times you've mentioned menopause, and it doesn't show what has been done about it." And I said, "Well, I don't actually know what's supposed to be done." And he said, "There's tests that can be done, confirm or
Mm,
rule it
yeah.
out." And I was like, "Well, I've been telling my doctor that, but he seems to think I'm too young." And that's when he told me, actually, there is a thing known as early menopause, and it possibly could be caused by surgery. And I'd had surgery around
mm-hmm.
this that started, and sometimes
Okay.
post surgery. you can go into menopause.
Yeah.
So probably that's what caused mine in my 30s. And when I had the tests done, the results came to the GP, who kept telling me that you're too young to be menopausal. And he didn't tell me about the results. I kept phoning and phoning until one day I actually walked into the surgery and I said, I want to see my results. I actually want to see them. And that's when he said, oh, yeah, I thought you were told, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day,
Who should have told you I accept him? Should have called him, but he was embarrassed.
yeah, I think he was just embarrassed because 5 years of going up and down, up and down, up and down with him, telling me you're too young. Why are you so keen on being menopausal? Why are you always talking about? I'm like, I'm experiencing the symptoms, and in my
Under
family, they're easy.
evidence, I was just about to say, under the NICE guidelines, their doctors have to take symptoms, not over the blood tests.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you keep going back and back and your blood tests keep coming back normal, they have to treat the symptoms of it, because otherwise, why do you keep coming back? Because test results can be wrong,
Oh,
inconclusive.
he kept making blood tests for other things, not that, because he
Yeah.
literally you're too young to be going into menopause. He didn't even ask me any questions about my recent history, medical history, like in the last year, like some doctors will ask you, have you had anything major done to you, or have you had any major illness, or have you had any major life experiences that could be impacting your health?
Yeah.
He didn't ask that. And
Yeah.
I joined this GP just as it started because I'd moved from Essex to Wolverhampton, and the surgery had been done in Essex. So
Ah. Did you
I'm
think you have lost your results or something, like with the changeover?
well, you know how it is with NHS. It takes sometimes more than 6 months for them to pass on the um, your medical records. For me, it actually took over a year,
Oh
and I had
God.
to
You know,
request.
you're right, Corey, because I went to the GP because what medication was missing off my medication list, and I booked an appointment to see why. Because I thought it was them that stopped it. And I said, my my profile might have not hasn't come through. I thought as soon as you switch GP, it's electronical. So why haven't it just? Oh gosh, I don't know.
I think one day we must do that, so we don't digress
Yeah,
with
yeah.
that medical record situation, because right now I'm in the middle of another battle of it because I've
Oh
recently moved.
gosh.
It's been clearly explained to me now here, and I understand where they're coming from, but it's bad because you can be lost in
Oh
the
yes.
Yeah.
transition. But anyway, back to menopause. Carry
Yeah.
on.
Menopause. Talking about menopause, it can happen at any age, really. Sort of, from your 30s onwards, I'd say. Um, early, it's less common for women to go through it early. But as you were saying, Farry, about you had a surgical precision that might have shifted you into early menopause. I've had a lot of trauma in my life. Um, I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but I had a very difficult childhood, and childhood traumas also can affect your menstruation as well. Now there's a lot of research into the endometriosis and all of those kind of illnesses for the female, you know, the childhood trauma such as abuse or something that's happened in their life, can actually affect your periods and then sort of jog on to the early menopause. Now, I've had trauma, but I've also had I had really difficult births as well. And my last birth with my daughter ended up where she basically, they had to pull her out because I couldn't push her out. She was too big for my, but I'd already gone through the process
Mm-hmm.
with her, so they had to get her out. Now they literally had to pull my legs apart to get her out, and I actually teared really badly. And then a year later, I think they said that I'd got a prolapse on my uterus, and I
Okay.
a female bowel repair and um, a, a vaginal wall repair. Now that could have been something that shocked me into the menopause as well, because that's very
Oh yeah, that's very traumatic, Kerrie.
having surgery as well. You know, I never linked it really, but like looking into it now, thinking about it, my menopause started around about my in sort of late 20s, early 30s. And like I'd have heavy periods, then I'd spot in between periods, very painful periods, um, and then like then the doctors was treating the mental health side of things. They wasn't listening to me, and I've had a battle to try and get the gynecology sorted because they've been just treating my mental health because I've been sectioned twice. They just kept putting it down to, oh, she's mentally unwell. But they forgot about the time when I wasn't mentally unwell, when I'd had stability in my life. They just seem to just think, well, she's been diagnosed with bipolar now, so it's got to be a bipolar. She keeps coming in, she keeps collapsing. She's probably making it up. I've heard all doctors talking about me. I heard one over conversation when I was in a hospital admission where they said, oh, she's run out of insulin, that's why she's come in. And I was like, I'm hearing all this stuff about hearing about my like doctors talking about me, and it wasn't in my
That's
head.
disgusting.
Absolutely disgusting. They forget or they don't seem to know that when you are going through mental health, you can still hear everything that's going around you. You know, you might not make sense to anyone, but you hear everything.
The labeling that I was talking about when I did the introduction, this is one of those things that I was talking about. As soon as you have a certain diagnosis, you automatically, straight away,
Yeah.
start labels. And it's sad that even professionals behave that way, that, if you're diagnosed with a mental health condition, you become less human. You are seen as completely incapacitated. But at the end of the day, only a certain part of your life is affected by any condition that you're diagnosed with, not
Yeah.
completely. So
Not your whole, see, not your whole being.
this does not mean you become a useless cabbage where you can't comprehend what people are saying, where you become deaf to what people are saying, where you become unable to feel from anything from what people are saying. And yet you still have that capacity to hear what people are saying and to feel something about it. The same way that I heard the doctor saying, oh, I don't know why we are even talking about wasting money. Do you know what this procedure costs? And after all, these people are hard to reach and they don't engage and they are non-compliant. I'm like, what people are you talking about? I'm an individual.
Yeah, yeah. You're not a collective. Yeah,
And you're in a certain box. It's like, as far as they're concerned, there is no scope or possibility of ever coming out of it.
yeah. And that's the misconception of mental health, isn't it? You have a breakdown and people seem to think, oh well, you've had a breakdown now, you're always going to be in the system. Well, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. I was someone that was like a fighter. I was born a fighter. I was born in intensive care when I was born, and I'm a born survivor. I've gone through too much crap in my life, excuse my language, but a bit too much crap in my life to go to back down and to let doctors walk all over me. And the menopause has actually taught me how to be assertive, to be fair, because there's times when my voice comes out there and I don't know what I'm going to say, but I'll get it my point across because I have that extra hormone, if you like, maybe that extra testosterone that runs through me at that point where I can have a voice and go, whoa, hang on a minute, and it makes sense when I'm talking. And even when I was going through my complete sort of, breakdowns, I've always been able to put myself across as someone who's what's the word I want to use? Sort of I can get my point across to people without having to get it into a heated argument, but I can get into a heated argument in those hormonal times. And it's like sometimes those doctors need putting in their places, because if they're going to be affecting my life, they're also affecting my family's life. I've had my family started to believe that I was very unwell because I wasn't being listened to, and the doctors were saying it's a diabetes that's affecting blah blah blah, and there was the diabetes, but they weren't treating the hormonal stuff that I was going through. Every time I was having bouts, I was literally the one day, and this is no lie, I took codeine, lorazepam, and sleeping tablets in one day, and I could not sleep and I couldn't stop the pain. I ended up collapsing in the pharmacist, and I told him how much I took of each thing. And he went, you shouldn't even be walking. You shouldn't even be like, you should be collapsed and sort of like not talking, like not making any sense. But, what's going on? And I had to go to hospital and I had to have some really, really strong painkillers and some antibiotics to stop the inflammation. But even then, still had to wait and wait and wait for treatment. And it's only been now, after 10 years of arguments and falling out with my family because they keep saying it's mental health when it's not, it's hormonal. And I don't want to get into much of a sort of, topic about blaming anyone because it's not their fault. I've been told by doctors that I was unwell, and that's what I mean. These professionals, they need to take accountability for affecting people's families, and it's sad because, like I said, I've lost my family through it. So if they're not listening to people and they're misdiagnosing people, what where is the not, I'm not looking for compensation, but like, where is the accountability for that?
That's the thing, Kerrie. Like you're talking about how it affected your relationship with your partner. Your
Yeah,
relationship has ended up breaking down
yeah,
and connected to that. But because a breakdown in marriage is not a health condition, the professionals will take a step back and are not able to actually connect the dots
no,
because everything has very, very blinkered into seeing only one thing. And
yeah,
one other thing that drives me crazy is it seems like the health system in this country does not recognize or refuses to recognize that one individual can have multiple health conditions that are interrelated. I
yes,
mean, like saying menopause can cause mental health illnesses, yeah, and enduring pain can cause mental health illnesses. And what fibroid can affect, the sensory can affect you to the point of the menopause. So these are all different diagnoses, but they want to focus on one thing. You're told you book an appointment to see your doctor, and you can only talk about one health problem. I have 8 health problems.
Yeah.
So if you book an appointment to talk about individually, I need 8 days to go through all 8.
Yeah.
That's
It's,
what.
that's
So a lot of times people are being treated for just one thing and everything else is neglected. And
yeah.
you wonder why people are continuously unwell, continuously
Yeah.
unwell. It's
Yeah.
it's, it's oh, it's
I
difficult,
want
isn't
to
it?
add positivity now because we've gone onto a bit of a negative thing, and I don't want it to be about like the negatives. It's taken them 10 years to kind of get to the point now where they've diagnosed me now. So I've got endometriosis, I've got polyps, and I've got fibroids. And now what they're suggesting, and I don't know, I mean, I've heard drama stories about this as well, but it's something that I've been told that will help me to stop the bleeding in between periods once the polyps are removed, is they're going to fit me with a coil. Um, and hopefully that will help with my hormones as well to balance me out. So I'm stay tuned for, you know, for like hopefully it might help my sleep pattern. I'm hoping I'm putting too much hope into this coil that's going to work, but I'm also a bit anxious about having a coil fitted in, you know, because like
Hello. Yes.
Upgrade my comments. It did so poorly and I'm constantly moving around. So I decided to upgrade to a second one that's got
She all right? Yes, she's been okay. Yes. Mhm. Sorry, guys.
yeah, it should be all working out for the best. I'm really hoping it will work out for the best, and but I am nervous about having that procedure done. I've heard that it can be a bit uncomfortable. It shouldn't be so painful though.
Okay.
Um,
Before we continue, Auntie Catherine is joined. Auntie Catherine, we're talking about menopause from a lived life experience, and Kerrie is sharing her journey with it, and somehow touching on the ripple effects of it. Um, so she's just talked to us about how it affects relationships, family, partners, husbands, and how men. Oh, she seems to have dropped. Gosh. Anyway, carry on, Kerrie.
yeah, so we've talked quite in depth really, haven't we, for the last sort of 40-50 minutes about it. We can get in, there's a whole lot of like other sort of avenues where we can explore, but I mean, sleep, I've gone through sleep, how it's affected me, how I had to be sectioned under the Mental Health Act. You know, I've talked hormones, I've talked about relationships. Is there any questions now that anyone wants to ask me or share their stories themselves? Have they got anything they want to share about, if they've got any concerns, or you know?
Uh, um, can I just say, I'm listening to you, and hmm, I'm surprised at how much we have in common. I have said this before, but it seems like the more I get to know you, it's almost like we are kind of twins.
You're my sister from another mister.
Yeah, because your experiences, as you were describing them, is like the same as me. Like we were talking about some of the causes that people don't actually realize are connected, like trauma,
Yeah,
childhood difficulties.
yeah,
That's me. And I actually, and you talked about how it affects your period. I didn't go for my period until I finished secondary school. That's how difficult things were for me as a child. My sister who comes after me went before me. And it's also to do with the way I tend to overthink things and then end up stressed and anxious and all that. And then I had that surgery, which I think was the final trigger, to be honest. But my hormones had always been all over the place. Growing up, there was actually a point, I think I must have been about 19, when I was told my hormones were so messed up. I can't remember the word that was used. I can't remember it in English. I remember it in my own language. That they didn't think I could actually have a child. I could actually conceive.
Yeah.
And so when I did get pregnant, it was kind of a surprise, a pleasant one, because
Yes.
I did it, you know how if you know everything or if you believe everything is okay with you, you take precaution and all that. I was kind of slack with that because I had been made to believe that I can't have children.
Yeah.
And then when I got pregnant, for me, it was a very great surprise. But the thing of the matter is, if I didn't want children, that could have been a horrible experience because
Yes.
then I was black and thinking I can't have kids, and then I turn out pregnant when I actually don't want kids. And then I would have been in that position where I'm now having to decide, do I keep the baby
Yeah.
and not be able to love it properly, or do I have an abortion and have my family up in arms because where I come from, abortion is a hell no.
Yes. Yes.
In addition, I was also already in the label that I have gotten pregnant before getting married, which is also in my culture a hell no.
Yes.
So when you really look at it, if people don't take the professionals don't take the time to have these conversations with their patients, with their clients, and give them this awareness, you
Yeah.
get hit by these things as if like it's random and you're not prepared for it.
Yeah.
Uh, but I had a question. You talked about early menopause. Do you know if there's a difference in symptoms if you have early menopause or if you have it like in later life?
I haven't. I'll be honest. I don't know. I would say the symptoms are very similar. Um, but as opposed to that question, that's something we might need to look into and get some research.
Because I'm thinking if the symptoms are the same, the more reason why professionals should have this in their mind to check
Mm,
if someone coming back to you over and over and over again describing symptoms that are connected to menopause, forget about their age. Look into it as a possibility because really, I mean, as you said, you can have it at any time, even if it's rare, but it
yeah.
does happen.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's like doctors see sort of like a um, you know, oh well, this couldn't be that because it's too young. So they don't treat it and take the patient seriously. But the thing is, as well, is I think it is in our duty to keep going back and keep saying, this is wrong, something is wrong here. Don't be popped off by, sorry, I'm getting a phone caller from my stepdad at the moment. I'm getting, and don't be fobbed off by, oh well, it couldn't possibly be. If you know that or feel in your heart it is, research, do some research yourself, because doctors do appreciate it when you can go back to them and say, look, I've been coming back here for this amount of time, I keep coming back with the same symptoms, blah blah blah. This is a diary I've been keeping of my symptoms, this is what I've researched, do something about it. You have a duty of care to provide me with the blood tests that I need, and you will go above your weight, otherwise I'm going to seek and take it further. I think we have to start standing up for ourselves and be sure about it.
Yeah, this is what I keep saying when I do my videos on TikTok. Be bold enough to defend your life, because at the end of the day, everyone else is doing the same. And if you don't, I'm not saying it's easy, but if you don't do it, you get lost in in the maze of it all. And I totally understand, because with me, some of the effects of menopause were lost confidence. I went
Yeah,
from being very uh, confident, carefree person to kind of retracting into my shell and having to overthink how I say anything that I'm saying. And so it meant whatever I wanted to say took me time to say it. And when you're in the GP surgery and you're taking your time to say stuff, they start completing your sentences for you. And that
yeah,
means, and they are literally telling you how you're feeling. And that's not right. They are telling you what you're experiencing. That's not right, because you're the one experiencing it. So you're the one who should be telling them how you're feeling.
yeah,
So even if you're feeling less confident, you still need to put it across. I mean, at one time, I ended up going with my son because I had this discussion with my son that I'm really frustrated. I get very anxious just thinking about going to the doctors. And when I get there, I'm struggling to um, express myself. And so my son was like, well, tell me about it. And I did. And I guess maybe as well, because I was mixing English in my own language, I was probably able to express it better to my son. And so I
yeah,
requested my next appointment. I wanted my son to be there, and I wanted him to help me explain what I was trying to say. I told him I have told him in my language uh, the symptoms and how I'm feeling and what I'm thinking about how I've been received when I book appointments. And so he explained it.
yes,
And that's when they started to say, oh, there's this possibility, and that possibility. Can we look into trying this, trying that? And I think as well, having somebody with you always makes them to take care what they're doing, how they're doing it, because there
yeah,
is business. So they will start to be a bit more vigilant, and they will start to be more they they won't brush you off easily
no.
because there's somebody else seeing
I've
it.
just got a text message. I've got to shoot off now.
All
Um,
right.
but it's all about my car. I'm having car trouble and everything, so I need to get that sorted out. Um, so I don't know whether you want to continue the conversation without me or whether we draw it to a close soon. But I am going to have to shoot off.
I think we might have to close it because Auntie Catherine has dropped off. I
Yeah,
think her signal is very poor, and it looks like Althea is busy at the moment.
yeah.
So it just um
Can
Question,
take this
Bo?
topic another time because it's very, very important that we open this up. Um,
I think we need to do kind of maybe a series,
yes,
sit down and highlight areas And then when we do the next one, we touch on one individual aspect and really dig into it. And then the next, go into the other aspect, dig into.
I think that's a very good idea.
Where's mine? Winnie. Say, where's mine? Let me get this.
Right then, I'm going to leave the meeting now. It's been a pleasure talking to everyone. I hope people will come back with some questions when they've watched the Zoom meeting. Thank you once again, Farry, for letting me do this important topic, and I think it's a very important topic. We didn't get round to talking about the men's perspective on it, but maybe we could get some men's perspective on how they see the women when they're going through the change. That would be quite an interesting topic to do as well. How it affects.
I think I'm gonna have a conversation with two of the men that we have on the group.
Everybody wants to share this topic with everyone. He's going to put it on his social media, so we'll plug Lam in.
I wanted to know you're a very good speaker, Kerrie. Yes, definitely.
Thank you so much, Althea.
Very good. You're welcome.
I'm now, so I've kind of perfected the art of it now. So yeah,
Yes.
thank you. Right,
Well
I'm going
done.
to then and try and sort my car out. Lots of
Thank you.
love. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. Sorry.
Yeah,
I will call you. I'll call you later.
yeah, that's
To
fine.
speak to you because I need to speak to you.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Yeah. And
Bye-bye. Bye.
bye. Thank you, good people, for joining us today. I hope the story that Kerrie has shared, her experiences, have maybe made you realize that some of the symptoms or some of the emotions and feelings that you've been experiencing might be that. And hopefully it has jogged you to pursue having it looked into, because the worst thing is suffering alone, suffering in silence, like I did 5 years. I went back and forth with my doctor and him insisting that I was too young to be experiencing menopause when I actually was experiencing menopause. So this is why I actually like for us to have these conversations. Many people think menopause only affects old people, just the same way as many people think that empty nesting only happens to older people, to pensioners, when in actual fact, the dynamic world that we're living in now is meaning that these things are happening left, right, and center in all age groups, and they are going unaddressed, unnoticed, and they are not being flagged. So many people are suffering in silence. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, and also if you have any questions, comments, and if you would like to share your own story, you can actually do that in the comments. You can put a comment and we'll connect with you, or you can inbox and I'll respond to you. Thank you very much. Have a lovely early evening. Bye bye.